Yep.
Coach, I feel like we've talked about Evan's growth almost ad nauseum at this point, but obviously it's something worth talking about. And I thought you made a great talking point the other day about how guards' growth is different than bigs' growth just because of how our league is. What is it about just this type of team, the culture of this team, that has allowed Evan to make such a big jump? And if you were on a different type of team?
I mean, there's a willingness to share the game, and I think that's the most important thing. When you have, guys who are all-stars or who have been all-stars, it can almost get territorial. And, it's not that way here. Like they push Evan to be better, right? They get him the ball in spots. They tell him to be more aggressive. Like they want him to do more. And they take joy in seeing him be successful. And they don't feel limited or in any way because it's one less opportunity for them if he has the ball, So I think that's kind of just the environment of our locker room and the character of our guys.
With Jarrett specifically, in what ways have you seen him, I guess, nurture that growth or push that growth with Evan?
I mean, J.A. is a relatively quiet person and typically does his leading by example. And he sets a bar so high, as far as his energy, his selflessness, his willingness to do all the small things that, Evan feels as if he can't let him down and not do those same types of things. So you see Evan out there mimicking what he does and, obviously adding his own touch to it. But, there's a standard that our big guys feel they have to live up to. And Jay helps set that.
Kelsey will be athletic. Are Darius or Donovan available tonight?
They are questionable.
Okay. What is it about Darius's personality, though, that allows him to just succeed the way that he does at point guard and even like just growing from last year to this year?
He has, the type of personality that draws people in. Some people in the beginning of relationships, have guards up or walls built and, people pause because they don't know if they can cross those lines. With Darius, like you never have that feel with him. He embraces everyone the same immediately. And I think his teammates feel that, again, like they want to see him be successful because they know he returns the favor and he wants them to be successful. So, it's like this symmetry of, personalities and emotions where you can feel confident and feel free to be who you are and let your guard down because he's embracing you by letting his down. So, people just want to play for him. And it's, not every point guard has that. And, great leaders do have that and great point guards do. And I think Darius is on his way to being that.
Have you seen like anything about his personality that's like stood out even more this year as he's grown more comfortable and grown in the league?
Yeah. He's communicating at a much higher level. He's putting guys in spots, he's talking about defensive reads and how to take advantage of defenses and those types of things. Like he's doing that on the fly now. And I think, he's been taking steps with that.
Zero Rider 92.3 The Fan. More of a philosophical question, JB. You as a coach and the culture you've established here, one thing that's really easy to notice is just how players respond to you and the messages that you're delivering. So my question is what makes you so effective as a coach beyond X's and O's to really connect with guys and get the type of response and production from your guys the way you do?
That's a good question. And when I think about it, it's a willingness to embrace a partnership. We are not, my dad's era coaches, right? Where it was a different thing. There was a clear separation. I think what we've grown to now is the best relationships with players and coaches, are 50-50 partnerships. And I'm okay with that. I don't feel like I have to have control of everything and dictate what everybody's going to do on, every single possession. Like being able to give guys that freedom And I think they embrace it. Now it comes with, a mutual respect where guys can't cross the line and just start to do things that, are outside the team just for their own personal gain. There's a trust that we're able to build because, we try to form genuine relationships, and, there's a lot of truth telling. And, sometimes guys don't want to hear it, but they know where it's coming from because we built that trust and built genuine relationships to understand that, my only concerns are the best interest of the team and then how the individual fits within that team. There is no ego. There is nothing about me as a coach. The only thing that matters is the team.
Jimmy Watkins, Cleveland.com. JB, where do you think Donovan is on the road back to becoming his usual self again?
I think he's working his way back. Like that injury is a tough one to deal with because it limits you in so many ways. The side to side stuff, the straight, full speed sprints, like you have to try to manage all those things. And, when it's bothering you, now you're thinking about it all the time. Like there's a loose ball in front of you or a move that you typically make. Now that's on your mind. So I think he's working his way through that, and getting closer to 100%.
I think I've had like 8 double-figure scores in the 5 games that he's been working his way back. What do you make of the way that everyone else has been stepping up around him?
That's who those guys are, and I think that's our strength. You go all the way back to the beginning, and we talked about the strength of our team being our team, and we've been working our way in that direction. And I think the more balanced we are, the tougher we're going to be to deal with, because now it's not just, hey, stop this one guy. Now it's all these guys can make you pay. And, like that makes it hard for defenses to slow everybody down.
JB, Mark Schwab, Menti News. If I could just get your thoughts on last night, the history made by LeBron and just what it means to basketball.
It's, one of the greatest accomplishments, if not the greatest accomplishment that we've seen. To be able to hold a record for 38 years just lets you know how difficult, or the magnitude of that record was. And it's a testament to LeBron, the time that he put in, the longevity. And we were actually having this discussion as coaches, like, to me, there's a debate on who's the greatest player of all times, right? Which is fair. I no longer think there's a debate on who's had the greatest NBA career. I think it's, in my mind, I think it's clear that LeBron has had the greatest NBA career that we've seen to date. Again, for 20 years to dominate the game the way that he has, to impact winning the way that he has, and the way that he's gone about business. Like he's a pro's pro. He's a selfless player. He's about his teammates. Like, not only, what is he, 4th now in assists. So it's not like he was just this, selfish player that was only going for himself. Like he made everybody still makes everybody he plays with better. And I think there's something to be said about that. And I think it's, something for the younger generation and the people who have been watching him coming up to take notice of and pay attention to, that, you can be a great player and be selfless at the same time. And I think he's a hell of a role model for all our young guys.
Spencer Davies, basketballnews.com. Just going back to Darius, a lot of the scoring and the passing is obviously really impressive, but a lot of the opposing coaches take note of Darius's defensive improvements over the last couple of years. What have you observed as what he's improved on the most, and where can he help you the most on that end of the floor?
He has become, a guy that early on in his career people picked on, and he took the challenge from that, that was no longer going to be the case. So it was a couple summers ago where he really dedicated himself to getting stronger. Now he's got a consistent routine, even on game days where he's lifting weights, because he knows that's the first line of defense, is being able to contain the ball and being able to absorb that first initial hit. And now he's strong enough to absorb that hit. He's also done a great job of learning our system, and understanding where he needs to be in certain spots to protect everybody else on the floor. You'll see time and time again, the job that he does getting steals on the weak side. Like now he's able to cheat offenses and get the spots and create those steals for us. So he does a great job, and he does a great job of teaching our defense to everybody else and being able to hold everybody else accountable as well.
Last one, Jeff. Jeff Shadum, Herald. You guys are 3-0 since you had that talk about the negativity last week. What have you seen change since you had that talk?
I mean, there's, even before that in the Miami game, I thought we started to play with an intensity and a purpose that was necessary to compete at a high level. I wanted to make sure, because the results weren't what we wanted them to be versus Miami, that it didn't go for nothing. And that's why we started to have that conversation, is they need to understand and believe in just how good they are and how capable they can be, but the level that they have to play at in order to get there. And I think they've done a great job of, finding the switch and understanding the difference between just hooping and you have talent, so you're going to win some games, and playing purposeful basketball. And, you look at what we've done defensively, and that's the trigger for us. We've been even better defensively. So as long as our defense continues to go the way that it is, you can see that. And then that always translates into our offense too. Thank you, guys.